Hey, all, welcome back here to Rich Aesthetic. I'm Rich, and let's take a look at this awesome macOS app called Steermouse, which lets us use things like the Razer Naga V2 Pro to control apps like Final Cut, Safari, and so on, as if you were running Razer Synapse 3 on your Mac, which is not possible because the latest version you can run is Razer Synapse 2, and Razer never updated the third version to work on macOS, probably because it's not known for gaming, although that's changing with No Man's Sky coming soon. But yeah, let's jump on over to the Mac and take a look at how to remap our buttons. So we're over on the computer here. This is my first time filming at this angle, so hopefully this turns out all right. But pretty much, Steermouse is pretty tight. It's a $20 app. And the cool thing about it, there's a couple cool things. As you can see here, we're actually in system settings. And down here at the bottom in Ventura, by the way, you have all the, those, I guess they're called system setting extensions or so. And Steermouse will be sitting right down here. Now, by default, you'll just have the singular default setting, of course. And this will, I believe it does have back and forward set, and I don't remember what the other actions are, but I removed button 6 for whatever reason, because I was, experimenting with it. And I just set all these buttons to pretty much the number row on my keyboard. I was just going to use the mouse to play, well, ESO. That's why I got the mouse. But then I was like, well, wait a second. If I had a way to use these buttons for other apps, I wouldn't have to use the Steam Deck for things that I do constantly, like using the blade for cutting clips in Final Cut Pro. So ESO is pretty boring. I just have it set to the numbers, which is what the mouse is kind of set to by default anyways. You don't need Steermouse to do that. But the fun really starts with Final Cut Pro. So let's jump into my settings for that. So here, and of course the first screen, I have the primary click, secondary click, middle click. That doesn't change. But then I decided that my button 1 and 2 on the side of the mouse, those are going to be my undo and redo, which is Command Shift Z, by the way, not Command Y, I think, which is what it is on Windows. But anyways, then I have my marker button, that's for the third button, and then I have the blade tool that cuts all the clips up and down in the timeline. And then I have the blade tool just for singular clips, that's set to button 8 right above there on 5. Figure I keep them close together since they have similar functions. Then above those, I have the compound clip keyboard shortcut, because I use that quite often. And then I have the regular arrow selection tool set to button 8 or 10 here, but 7 on the side of the mouse. I might put that up one, so it's next to the blade tool, because I kind of intermittently switch between the two. But yeah, and then I don't have anything else set for the rest of the buttons, mostly because I'm still paying attention to what my workflow is and adapting it. And I plan on incorporating more shortcuts as I realize that I'm using them later on. The other thing that I just thought of, with an app like, I guess, Raycast I use, you can have the text snippets. You could probably add in a keyboard shortcut to add the marker, and then, give it a second to pop up the marker window, which honestly is pretty fast. So just do like a second or 500 milliseconds or whatever. And then you could have it do a second keyboard shortcut, which would automatically input some string of text like overlay screen recording or overlay GIF, or search for this B-roll shot, to even more quickly populate the marker window, and then you can finish typing out the thought. So like overlay this GIF, and then I'll be like, of Chewbacca, for example, like, I don't know, whatever you need. But let's take a look at what I have it set to in Safari. So here it has the same default back and forward system control setting, and I like that just because it's easy to go back in what I was searching. But then up above those two, I have the new tab shortcut, because I do that quite often. And then going into the next set of keys, so button 4 and 5, I have them set to switch between the previous and next tabs. This kind of let me discover that this keyboard shortcut changes from app to app. So like in Safari, you use Shift Control Tab to go through tabs. But if we jump over here into numbers, you're using Command Shift and then the left and right bracket. That's a little bit annoying. I don't know what the system standard is, but I wish that would change. So anyways, so that's all I have set to Safari. So I have quite a few rows still left. And as I come to different things, such as maybe some keyboard shortcuts for the tab groups in Safari, I might end up adding them. But it's super easy to add a keyboard shortcut. So let's jump into one here. So say button 9, which I haven't configured. You have a bunch of different things that you can choose from. So let's go to like click, for example, and you can actually have it set to like a certain number of clicks that you want. So I'm sure maybe some people who play things like, what is the big one? CSGO, I think. You could have this as a way to more quickly shoot. I'm assuming so. I'm not really a gamer, like a FPS gamer. So anyways, going back to stuff that I actually know and can talk about, keyboard shortcuts is what I mostly use this for. So super simple, you select the modifier key. Clicking them on the keyboard doesn't do anything. You do have to actually select them in here, and then you'll see they populate here, and then you just tap any key, and as you put them in, they highlight automatically, so you can jump through different keyboard selections without having to constantly hit backspace, which is a nice, thoughtful user experience decision. The other thing is you can add in some behaviors such as wait, so then you can set up macros. So you could have it like, let's say you need to undo something, and then you want it to wait, say, a second, and then you add another one here. Oh, drag it below. Can I drag that below? Can't reorder it. What if, okay, so change you to wait for 1 second. We'll remove that. We'll remove this one. There we go. And now we're going to do Command Shift and Z. So now it'll undo something, wait a second, and it'll redo it. Now, why would you need that? I don't know. But I'm sure you guys can think of a better use. I haven't used anything. I haven't used any of these like multi-action keyboard shortcut settings yet, but it's super cool that you can do it right here in this app. And I mean, everything you could do on Windows with Razer Synapse, you can now do on macOS with Steermouse. All right, I'm gonna go back here and let's look at some other stuff. So we can go to System Control, and this is where you will find things like back and forward, but also toggles for like Stage Manager, Quick Note, other things that are very Mac specific. I mean, this is awesome. If you always use Spotlight and you don't want to do Command Space, for example. So now it's here on my button 6, which is it button? No, it says button 9, but it's not 9. It's a 7, I think. No. Oh, we're not. Look, we're in Safari, right? This is the Safari setting, so we have to have Safari open. So you probably wouldn't do this. Oh, look at that, my favorite guy, Christopher Lawley. And now there is Spotlight Search popping up right there. So you can toggle through that. Now you wouldn't probably have that set when you're in Safari only. That would probably be something you want always active. Now in numbers, I have a pretty basic setup here. Also undo, redo, and then the tab jumping. I haven't thought of or figured out some other things that I want to do. But you can even have this probably set to like automatically insert a shape or a table. I'm sure most of you probably don't use numbers, you use Excel. It recognizes all the different devices that I do have. So I also have like a Logitech, I do have the Keychron plugged in, and I have the Stream Deck, which is pretty tight. I didn't even think about doing Stream Deck customization, but of course we have the Stream Deck software, so it's probably not something you need. Anyways, jumping back into the Razer here. Super easy, by the way, if you want to add apps. This edit button is for this menu of apps to choose from. So if you hit edit, now you can scroll through that list, add, remove them. You can import and export your button configuration settings, which was super helpful for like any apps that you are editing stuff with, for example, where you have the whole command and redo and also like tab jumping. You're probably not going to want to map those keyboard shortcuts to different buttons. So you can export it, reuse it when you add a new app, and then get rid of the app specific keyboard shortcuts that say you only need numbers, and replace them for what you would need in say Pages or, well, Final Cut for that matter. Pretty tight. So yeah, if you had add, it's pretty simple as any other application where you're adding, or any other app where you are adding an application to have access to. It has the same type of menu. You go through, choose one, and hit open, and now it's there. So all right, and that's all I got. Go ahead and leave a comment down below as to how you map your buttons for the various apps that you use, so we can all share, and so I can get some ideas myself, as I haven't mapped all the buttons for every single app. And if you liked the video, smash that like button, consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll catch you in the next one. Rich Aesthetic out.